Unbelievable. Folks, welcome to Everything Pro Wrestling. Everything Pro Wrestling is a show by the fans, for the fans. And I am your host, Conrad Cushman, and we are here today with a review of NXT UK Takeover Blackpool. The show just went off the air, guys, literally. And, man, I'm not even sure about some of my grades. Like, that's how crazy it is right now in my head that I feel like I need more time to think about some of these matches. If you guys are in the chat, please leave your thoughts on some of the matches that we're talking about. Hey, what's going on, Wrestle Hub? What's going on, J3X Show? Appreciate you guys. Man, let's talk about NXT TakeOver UK, man. This Blackpool show was really dope, I think. It exceeded my expectations. I know some people didn't like it. I was chatting with a few other people, and I could see what the issues were with it. But, dude, this show, man, as I was saying. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. The show was happening in Blackpool. On the headsets, we had Vic Joseph and Nigel McGuinness. Nigel McGuinness actually has a special airing right now that I would love to check out. Nigel McGuinness is a great pro wrestler. If you didn't know him, in the mid to early 2000s, he was one of the best Ring of Honor ever had. Make sure you check out that special. This crowd was hyped from the opening match all the way through, man. Really something amazing. Definitely. So, the opening contest was for the NXT UK Tag Team titles in the tournament finals. So, there were no champions quite yet, but these guys were ready and going to work. We have Moustache Mountain versus the Grizzled Young Veterans. That's Zach Gibson and James Drake. Dude. So we start this off with something so freaking cool. When we look at this, we had the team of Moustache Mountain in there, and they came out dressed up like the British Bulldogs. Freaking sweet, dude. Just to see them even do something like that, I felt was completely awesome. They held it down, in my opinion. So they came out dressed up like the British Bulldogs. They still had their Moustache Mountain stuff on there, but it was nice to see them pay a little, homage to the British Bulldogs. They came out. Gibson and Drake made their entrance. They're the nasty heels, and they're doing whatever they have to do. So they come out and they start the match off, and they do like a lot of spots to make Tyler Bate look really good. A lot of his bridges, suplexes, everything else that was going on. And I agree, J3X showed the UK crowds are always excellent. They're always into the shows. Tyler Bate's doing all of his bridges. He's kipping up. He's doing lots of stuff just to get the crowd entertained, and they're into it. Gibson and Drake finally start getting their heat when they start beating down Trent Seven. Trent Seven takes a beating, and he bumps so well when he's taking his beat downs, and he's looking for that big, glorious hot tag. Well, he finally gets it in the match, and here comes Tyler Bate. Tyler Bate comes in, and he's knocking everybody down. He's doing all of his moves, and he goes for an airplane spin. Picks up the guy, spins him around. He also then comes in the ring and picks up the other guy, and he has both of them on his shoulders, and he is spinning around in circles with both of the guys on his shoulders. Dude, what a man, dude. I don't even know what to say to that. He got chance of big strong boy. I don't know what that is over there in England, but he got chance for it, and the people loved it. The first spot in the match that I absolutely enjoyed was they did where Trent Seven eventually got back in. He did like a British Bulldog power slam, and then Tyler Bate got to do the Dynamite Kid headbutt into what I thought could have been a finish. It turned out it wasn't. There was a save made. We also had a Burning Hammer on Zach Gibson, I believe, and Drake came in and made the save, James Drake. This match was all over the place and excellent. Hey, what's going on, Y2K? Y2K, Tyler Bate fan. Dude, oh god. Another good spot in this match was, all right, so Drake and Gibson finally are in the ring, and there's a lot of comebacks happening, and they started the false finishes in this one early, so there's a lot of people wondering who's going to win, what's going on, and we see a suplex happen into a brainbuster by Zach Gibson, and then a 450 is landed on Trent Seven. 1-2, he kicks out. I thought it was over right there. I'm not gonna lie. There were a lot of good spots on this entire show, which we'll go over. We had a double submission spot on Trent Seven was in the main submission. Zach Gibson, where he pulls your elbow back. I can't think of the name of the move right now, but it's his main submission hold. And eventually Drake ends up getting Tyler Bate in it, but Tyler Bate muscles through, picks him up, and uses him as like a way to break up the submission on his tag partner. Then we saw the lariat suplex on Drake. Another, I thought it could have been over from that. 1-2, Drake ends up, I don't know if he kicked out or if he got saved now, but the pinfall isn't complete. They go through it. Dude, spot of the match. Go on to, yeah, that tag match was really good, Y2K. I highly recommend it. I'm going through that right now. My favorite spot in this match was somehow Tyler Bate was on the apron and wound up on Zach Gibson's shoulders, and James Drake dove outside and did like a tope dive, and he ended up doing like a doomsday device to him on the floor. Flipping amazing. Follow me on Twitter at EPW Show. I retweeted it from somebody who had a gif of it. Dude, spot of the match. In the end, there's lots of comebacks, but they end up hitting a tag team kind of code breaker, picking him up. Code breaker for the finish. 1, 2, 3. Gibson and Drake are our first ever NXT UK Tag Team Champions. I gave it an overall grade of an A-. Those tag belts are freaking beautiful. Mwah. I love those tag belts. There is nothing better than the look of a championship, the feel of it. If you're a belt mark such as myself, you have to love those belts. They are old school, and they just remind me of what tag team wrestling should be. I would love to see belts like that on the main roster. But I digress. We get to our next match. Match number 2 on this card, which was Travis Banks versus Jordan Devlin. I was actually looking forward to this match. I thought it was going to be a really good match. Banks comes out, and he dives on Devlin during his entrance, and looks like he tweaks his left knee. He's clutching it and grabbing it a little bit, and they wind up having Jordan Devlin put a beat down on him. And he takes advantage of the hurt knee. There was an attack earlier in the day that was shown too. And he ends up beating the crap out of him, injuring his knee. Officials come out and they're trying to take Travis Banks to the back. And Sid Scala comes out with the general manager. I can't even think of his name right now. Johnny Saint. They come out and they say, he whispers something to Sid Scala, and he says that your night is not over yet. And when he comes in, he says, yes, my night is not over yet. I'm messing up now because we got people calling me a mark in the chat. Thank you, J3X Show. I am a belt mark. We're all marks if we're talking about wrestling, my friend. Sid Scala comes out and he's announcing that there's a backup plan in place because they thought something like this would happen. Well, what is the backup plan? Finn Balor comes out. Finn Balor from the main roster ends up coming out, and we end up switching out the match and getting a teacher versus student type match. So did not think much of the show. Connor is not a fan of British wrestling and did not think much of the show. Maybe you guys in the chat can convince him to change his mind a little bit here. So we're in there. We're watching this. Finn Balor makes his way out. Teacher versus student. Solid match, lots of back and forth. The match ends kind of quickly, in my opinion, with some back and forth stuff. I mean, it's not like he didn't let Devlin get anything in, but we all knew the coup de grace was coming. 1, 2, 3. It was a good cool down match. Overall grade, a B- for that one. And all these will be eventually updated in the description box. But B- for that second match. Finn Balor, the surprise was a nice touch to the show. Added a lot to it, in my opinion. So I liked it. We go out to the crowd after this, and we see Big Mendez in the crowd. Luke Mendez, or I'm sorry, is it Mendenzes? I'm not sure how to say his last name, but I guess he was a pro rugby player. I ended up looking this up afterwards because I wasn't too familiar with his work, but he was a pro rugby player back in 2007. He's been training to be a wrestler, and I'm interested to see what this guy can do. He has a interesting look to him, so we'll see what he can do. We get to the match that I talked about on my preview show on the podcast. Links will be in the description for that as well. We set up a preview, and this was the one match I was worried about throughout it. Excuse me for 1 second. In J3X show, looks like a response to Connor here, says, I think British wrestling is fun to watch in my opinion. We get the no DQ match. We have Eddie Dennis versus the Bomber Dave Mastiff. These guys fight. We see lots of basic moves that we expect from both of them. Nothing too crazy, but eventually weapons get involved. We had the stairs come into play. He ends up putting the big part of the stairs, pushes them into the ring. We saw some kendo stick shots from Eddie Dennis. Excellent, as usual. Eddie Dennis ended up doing a move where he ended up catching and grabbing Dave Mastiff, and he slammed him down on the steel steps. Very impressive. I did not think Eddie Dennis was that strong. And I know on my preview show I was saying how disappointed I could be in Eddie Dennis, and I didn't see what the big deal about him was. Did he impress me in this match? Yes and no. I still think there's more for me to see of him, but I also think that Eddie Dennis has upped his stock with me a little bit. So Eddie Dennis, you did a good job in this match, and you've won me over to continue watching you. I just got to see something more from him on the weekly shows. So Eddie Dennis ends up doing that, slams him on the stairs. He pulled up the ring mat at some point too, and he puts him over his shoulders. I'm sorry, Dave Mastiff puts Eddie Dennis over his shoulders and does a front roll out on the floor. You knew that had to hurt. In the end, though, there was a table set up in the ring for the finish, and Dave Mastiff's finisher is usually the cannonball into the corner, and he's a big dude. He's a big boy, and he ended up doing that and knocked him through the table. He ain't kicking out of that. 1, 2, 3. I gave it a grade of a C+, much better than what I expected from these two, because I thought that this match could have also turned it into a complete shit show, but they were able to trudge through and do a good job. Let me see here. We got Y2K saying, laugh out loud. I switched Takeover on moment Balor came out. Big fan of Pete Dunne, Rhea Ripley, Toni Storm, and Tyler Bate. That's from J3X show. And Y2K says same. All right. So then we go into the crowd. We see Kaylee Ray and Jazzy Gabbert from the Mae Young Classic. So it looks like they're going to be joining the NXT UK brand. That's what I would assume is safe to say. So excellent to see that for this one, guys. Interesting. I don't know. Are you guys interested in seeing Kaylee Ray and Jazzy Gabbert? Let me know. We get to the fourth match, the NXT UK Women's Title match. We had the champion Rhea Ripley versus Toni Storm. Both women came out, and I'm not going to lie, they were in amazing shape for this match. It looked like they were both trying to make sure they were on their A game, and I think they were. Both ladies look like they did a tremendous job with this. The story seems to always go back to Toni Storm's back, which was initially hurt on an apron spot in the first match that they had, the finals to crown the first ever NXT UK Women's Champ. Like I said, I'm a fan of both girls. Rhea Ripley is on one of my most improved wrestlers lists, and that's out of everybody. Rhea Ripley has done so well for herself, and I think that she deserves a lot more credit than she gets. So she did a lot of stuff in this match to make you believe that Toni Storm's back was going to be hurt again. We had lots of good back and forth wrestling in this match. There were parts of it that felt kind of sloppy, but I think that's just part of how sometimes pro wrestling is today with the grab and the setups of the moves. I know sometimes it feels very staged for at least an old school fan like myself, and they were going back and forth with it, but they managed to make it work still, and it was believable. Even when stuff didn't connect all the way, they still no-sold it and then still fought each other, which I can appreciate them at least doing that. Ripley locked in a cool reverse Texas Cloverleaf. I really like that. Instead of flipping and sitting on the person's back, she stayed standing up and had the person reversed while she put it on. No submission on that part. We had some more back and forth. Rhea Ripley ends up hitting the Riptide, and gets a 2 count out of it. Really close kick out there. Toni Storm gets out. Toni Storm hits a Storm Zero and 1, 2 kick out by Rhea Ripley. She was one of the first people I think I've seen kick out of that, at least on the NXT brand. And they go back and forth again. Rhea Ripley looks like she's got the upper hand. She's going to set up for the Riptide, which is her pump handle finisher. Toni Storm gets out of it. Storm Zero again. 1, 2, 3. Unbelievable. Toni Storm is your NXT UK Women's Champ. I was not expecting that. In my predictions, I had Rhea Ripley winning this, but I'm not disappointed by this. Toni Storm is an excellent female wrestler, and you guys know that's why she won the Mae Young Classic. Very impressed by her. I thought it was a really good match. I gave it a grade of a B+. And let's go to the chat here to see what they're saying. Y2K says, I like them chicks. Yes. Yeah, the match I was waiting for the most besides the men's UK title match. Yeah, Y2K, that one was a good one. B+, I think, was a fair grade for it. It could have got to the A level, I think, if it had a little bit more time, but they did their thing in this one. B+. Let's go. I had Ripley winning as well, but Toni Storm is really good. J3X Show, I don't think that you can really go against either one of those women. I don't know what they're going to do with them. Like, I think they're main roster ready now. Is that crazy for me to think that? I don't know. That's just me. NXT UK Championship match. We are here at the main event already, guys. It was a short card, but people were really enjoying it. And let's get it right here. We have NXT UK Championship match. We have Pete Dunne, the champion, versus Joe Coffey with Gallus. Side note here. I really, and we got some other things happening in the chat here. I didn't care who won that match, to be honest. Y2K seconds that. We get to the NXT UK Championship match. Pete Dunne versus Joe Coffey. Dude, that Gallus theme, I absolutely love it. I don't know if it's on the official YouTube site yet, but we need to have that theme. Absolutely good theme. Coffey in this match, Joe Coffey, I think Gallus went to the back. I don't know if he dismissed them. I kind of turned my back to go get some water at the time to that part of the show, but Coffey ends up coming out. He shows off his power throughout this match, putting Pete Dunne in bear hugs, working over his back, beating him down. Joe Coffey's a big man, and he was just putting the beat down on Dunne. Dunne shows off his technical skills in the match, along with his submission styles. He was trying to tap out Joe Coffey as much as he could. Couldn't get it done. His technical wrestling was good enough, but it kept landing him back into power submission holds with Joe Coffey. We had a brawl in this one with a mixture of wrestling in it. It was unique. Like, it goes back to what I was telling Connor before with the styles. It is, it's interesting to watch. Like, what are they actually trying to do? And they did their best with it, but it's interesting to watch the mixture of wrestling and brawling at the same time, and the fans in the UK love it. And you know what? I think it's different, and I like it. Pete Dunne lands a nice middle rope moonsault, the ones where he hops over, goes to the ring corner from the apron, hops up, and then does the moonsault to the outside. Picture perfect. Lands it nice every single time. They teased Dunne being knocked out in the Boston Crab, and then Pete Dunne basically fought back through, got to the ropes. That was a different spot. I think some of the stuff didn't connect with the live audience because they couldn't see the reactions that we were seeing from the camera side. And that was one of those spots that it was just like, that didn't get the crowd as hyped as I thought it would. Where are we here? And, ooh, this is the hands lock. So they end up getting their hands locked into a set of moves, and it started off with like a headbutt back and forth, and then they were headbutting each other's shoulders back and forth over and over and over again. And both guys end up delivering a hard headbutt to each other, and they go down. So both men are knocked out, and we get to some chain submission holds. So Pete Dunne starts by putting Joe Coffey in the Koji clutch, and then that transitions into an ankle lock, and then a German suplex when Coffey gets the upper hand on the Pete Dunne. He charges Dunne, and Pete Dunne delivers a kick like no other right to his dome. I thought Joe Coffey was knocked out from this, dude. He ends up getting up, and fighting back a little bit. And Coffey, I did not know he was this athletic either. He goes for like the Kofi Kingston dives that you see Coffey do, like where he goes up to the middle rope, hops to the top rope, and then does like kind of the moonsaultish dive. I don't know what you want to call it. Like he springboard dives backwards, and he ends up missing, and Pete Dunne nails him with an elbow right across his head. Dude, sounded brutal. He ends up getting hit 1, 2, and then he kicks out of that. There was a sit-out powerbomb on the apron. Dude, if I'm Pete Dunne, I'm not taking that spot ever. Pete Dunne ends up taking it though, and that's when I started getting worried a little bit in my heart, like, dude, what's gonna happen in this match? Dunne ends up stomping Coffey, and the fans go crazy. Now, this is the stomp where he grabs both of your arms, and he's just delivering stomp after stomp after stomp on your head and your shoulders. I don't know what it was, but the fans loved this. They went absolutely nuts. It happened at the perfect time. It made Pete Dunne look like a wrestling genius in there. So, well placed in the match, or I don't know if there was an agent who thought of that, but whoever thought of that, very well placed. After that, the fans are going crazy. There are several kicks, Daniel Bryan style, where Joe Coffey's on his knees and he's kicking him in his head. Joe Coffey ends up ducking the last one, gets up, goes off the rope for a lariat. Pete Dunne delivers an enziguri. After the enziguri, a big lariat is hit because Joe Coffey no-sold it, and then he got up, big lariat, 1, 2, kick out. Dude, I feared for all my life that Pete Dunne was about to lose the UK Championship right there. He ends up kicking out. I thought there was a new champion. I'm not going to lie. But at that point in the match, Pete Dunne was still in it. So then they do another spot where the fans go crazy. Well done, whoever did this. They had a spot where they're across from each other. They're both tired. They get up looking at each other, locking eyes. They just look right in front of each other. They start just letting fists fly. They start punching each other right in the face. Excellent match. They're both going through, punching each other. I got to give it up. Very, very good here. Afterwards, Coffey goes for the bitter end, but you can't do the finishing move on Pete Dunne. That is his. He reverses it, and Pete Dunne delivers a DDT. Joe Coffey is down, and what's going to happen here? I'm sorry. Y2K's adding some things. I'm going to read that after Y2K. He delivers a DDT. Afterwards, bitter end, and Dunne has too much taken out of him to make this cover, and Joe Coffey ends up rolling to the outside. It turns into like one of those WTF moments, like, oh, I thought that was the finish. It's not. They teased me. I'm all right. So as he rolls to the outside, he ends up getting back into the ring, and they're fighting back and forth, and then Pete Dunne's ready. He's setting it up. He's like, bitter end time. He hits another bitter end. 1, 2. Coffey kicked out again, dude. Like, how did this happen? So after he kicks out of that last bitter end, Pete Dunne says, you know what? F this. He ends up locking him in like a triangle, but Pete Dunne's on top. So his legs are wrapped around him. He's on top, and you know how your arm's out in the triangle like this. So when his arm is out, he winds up grabbing the fingers, and he starts splitting them apart and snapping them each side, breaking them every other way, and immediately Coffey has nothing else to do but tap out. Unbelievable finish. Well done, Pete Dunne. He's one of my favorite champions in WWE. So after he bends the fingers and taps out, it's over. Pete Dunne wins the match. He rolls out to the floor. Checking this out, guys. I went back and forth if this was an A+ or an A match. Right now, I stand with an A. I could see it being an A+, though. This was an excellent bout, I thought. I thought they did it very well. Something I would highly recommend people checking out. Like, if you want to know what's the best match so far for NXT UK, it's got to be this one or the match with Pete Dunne and Jordan Devlin. Very difficult to decide between those two. But I'm going with an A for right now. I felt the match was a little bit draggy in the beginning, but once things picked up towards the end there, I was sold. I was all the way into this match. So after all that happens, Pete Dunne celebrating. You think it's about to go off the air. You see the titles in his mouth. He's doing all of his thing. And then you hear some unfamiliar music hit on the PA system. Who's coming out? Walter freaking shows up, dude. Walter ends up coming out, showing like he wants to be the next challenger for the UK title. Walter and Pete Dunne stare at each other from a little further away in there, and all of a sudden you see Joe Coffey get in, and he's just like, oh, you guys aren't stealing my shine. Walter big boots Joe Coffey out. They step up to each other, and you can see that this is going to be the next match. And now, as I've said, I've been waiting for someone who could take the belt from Pete Dunne, and I think Walter could be that guy if he's really willing to travel with NXT UK. That is a move that he could potentially make. Dude, amazing. So, overall show grade for this, guys. But before I get into that, let me go to the comment section here. Charlotte versus Toni Storm would be the quality. Y2K gives that a thumbs up. 600 plus days. Pete Dunne doing things no one else is doing in the modern era. Let's see. A champion that I could be proud of, Y2K says. You think Dunne could do well on the main roster? Y2K puts the shrug shoulders. He doesn't know. Or he will get lost in the fold. Glad I was wrong about Dunne losing. I was shocked when Walter came out. Me too, Y2K. I know Robert Anderson, who usually does these reviews with me. I know he'll be very happy. He's a big Walter fan. He was actually the person who put me on to watching Walter. So shout out to Robert Anderson right now. Overall score for this real quick, guys. I'm going with a B+ for this show. I think that's a fair grade. It was real close. We had an A- match for that tag match, and I felt this match was the match of the night. I gave it an A as well. B+ from the women's match. We had a C+ match, and we had a B- match from Finn Balor and Jordan Devlin. Overall, though, B+ show, guys. Real close to an A. I thought it was really good. The main thing that I wanted put in here, #PushRobert by J3X Show. This show is different. I can see some not liking it. As Connor was saying before, he wasn't feeling it. But here's the main thing I want to push on this real quick while I'm doing this. When you guys watch this NXT UK show, you have to understand that UK wrestling is completely different than some of the other things that you see. They're in there doing their thing, and the UK style of wrestling is looking for realistic battle style combat, and I think it's different, and I think it's a good different, and it's something that I think anyone could enjoy doing. I'm going to kick it to the live chat if they have anything else they'd like to say, if overall thoughts on the show before we get out of here. But I just think this NXT UK brand is very different. It's hard to watch all this wrestling today, though. It's very difficult for me. I'm trying to keep up with it as much as you can. The name is Everything Pro Wrestling, so I'm doing my best. Let's see here. J3X Show. I would say give it a try first, because I felt the same way until I watched Dunne versus Bate and Takeover Chicago a couple years ago. Yes, sir. That's an excellent match. I saw you correct that, too. I was trying to read it word for word. My apologies, Peyton. Really good, though. No complaints about this. B+ show, like I said in the end. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Before we get out of here, though, if this is your first time watching me, do me a favor. Leave a like on the video. It really helps. I have already exceeded my goal that I set for myself. I didn't think I was going to get to 250 subscribers that fast. I have done it. Guys, let's get to 500 as quickly as possible. That's my next goal. So if you guys like the content, share the content with wrestling fans on Twitter. I know some people from the wrestling community on Twitter come in here. Please help me out. Wrestling Aminu, same thing. If you're on Reddit, subscribe as well, guys. I want to talk with more wrestling fans. Have you guys in here, and we'll do our thing. Thank you, J3X Show. #EPW Road to 500. You know what time it is, man. I'm ready to grind this and do this. I'm trying to get my name out there, and I want to get back to that 1K so I can get paid for my YouTube videos again. Freaking YouTube apocalypse ruined that. With all that being said, guys, I'm out of here. I'm going to shut down the stream here in a second. I will be doing a live stream with Foul Owl. Hopefully he still got it going up, and I'll be over there with Omega Podcast, Luke Omega, and we'll be in there just talking about some wrestling roundtable stuff. So if you guys want to come in there and join, please feel free. We're doing that via Skype. Guys, this is Everything Pro Wrestling. I appreciate you guys. I'm out. Peace.